Da-dum, da-da-dum, da-da-dum, da-da-da-da-da-dum, da-da-da-da-da-dum. What does that even mean, Bowers Game Corner?
Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again today for another game review, another special Kickstarter review. And today, very excited to check out Escape the Nightmare from 3D Total Games. This is for 3-to-8 players, ages 12 plus, and it'll take about 1 to 15 minutes to play. And Escape the Nightmare is a cooperative game in which you are going to be trying to trade cards back and forth with your teammates, trying to get a set of cards to defeat wardens. These wardens are going to be in control of your nightmare, and your nightmare is going to be made up of cards like Death and Mutilation and Annihilation and all sorts of other dark grisly things. It's got dark grisly artwork. Don't let that scare you off, though. This is a really intriguing game that doesn't play like anything else I've ever played. Spoiler alert, I really like it. So let's see if I can help you wrap your brain around it, and I'll give you my final thoughts on it. Alright then, we're going to take a look at what you're going to get inside of Escape the Nightmare. Before we get started, I do want to mention this is the promotional copy in front of me, so take everything you see here with a grain of salt. So first and foremost, we have our handy dandy rule book. I think it's about 7 pages, single-sided. Yours is going to be in full color, and it's pretty well done. I'd say you're going to use about the first 3 or 4 pages to learn how to play the game, and the last couple pages are just different ways that you can modify the game to make it more or less difficult. It also gives you a description of all the different kinds of cards in the game. Very well done rule booklet, though. Big thumbs up. So in Escape the Nightmare, you are trapped inside of a nightmare. You and the other players are, and you are all trying to work together to escape. The nightmare is completely cooperative. And how this is going to work is the way you escape the nightmare is you are going to need to get sets of cards, which will be 4 cards of the same name. So different ones are Delirium, Assimilation, Insects, Isolation, Death, Mutation, Mutilation, Tentacle, monsters, all sorts of stuff that you would encounter in a nightmare. So once you have a set of those, you will defeat one of these cards right here, which are going to be wardens. These are the keepers of your nightmare. And these cards are all going to have special abilities on them that you might potentially enact if you are playing a more difficult version of the game. You're going to collect these sets by trading cards back and forth. But the catch is, when you trade a card, you are going to have certain actions and restrictions that those cards are going to place upon you for a short period of time until you trade your next card. So I'm going to try and do my best to explain how the game works, but it is a little bit to wrap your brain around, despite the fact that it's a very simple game. So when you first start the game, depending on how many players you have, you're going to pick out how many of the different nightmare types that you are going to put into the game. And as I mentioned, these are the different nightmare types. Delirium, Assimilation, all the bad stuff that you would see in a dream. So let's just take a look at Assimilation. We'll look at some of these cards. So when you collect 4 of the cards, they are going to have either little green triangles on the top or little red X's. Green triangles are going to be actions that you must take. So when someone trades you this card, show that you have 3 different assimilation cards. You're going to be forced to do that. For instance, if you get traded this card, though, you may only talk by repeating things that other people say. So until you trade this card away, until you trade, I should say, the next card, you are going to have to do that, which is going to make everything more difficult for everyone at the table. This one, say 1100110001. So you're going to have to say this, which is really bad, especially if you're, for instance, the person keeping track of the time, or if you want to get a specific type of card before the time runs out. But you will have to do this before you trade again, or else you will be doomed. We'll get into doomed in a second. The last one is, you must only trade with players who have said one of us since the last trade. So you can kind of hopefully force people to say that. So yeah. Very interesting stuff. All of the cards are different. All the cards are going to have different impacts and different special effects that are going to happen on the game while you're playing. So it's a very variable game in that aspect. So when you first start off the game, you're going to choose a certain number of nightmare types depending on how many players you have. So for instance, in a 5-player game, you'll have 7 of these different nightmare types. And then you will set out what's called a nightmare deck. So the nightmare deck are going to be cards that you're going to take out and put here randomly in the middle. Now you're saying, why do you put those cards out there? That's because I mentioned you're going to be trying to collect a set of cards. You're going to try and collect all of the assimilation cards. However, what you might not know is that an assimilation card might be face down in the middle. So you might be attempting to escape this dream by collecting assimilation with no knowledge that it is not even possible for you to collect all 4 of those cards, which adds to the difficulty of the game. So How do you lose the game? How do you win the game? When is the game over? Well, what's going to happen is when you first deal out the card, someone is going to have this card right here. It's coming. Run. And when you do that, everyone's going to have a chance to look at all the cards in their deck, and then someone's going to say, it's coming, run. And then what they're going to have to do is they are going to have to start counting down from 30 or whatever number you are playing, depending on how difficult it is. So obviously, if you're playing a more difficult game, they might start counting down from 15 or something like that. They'll say 30, I need tentacles. 29, does anyone have tentacles? 28. But they are going to be keeping track of the time. If you ever get down to 0, you'll automatically lose the game. Another way to potentially lose the game is if you are not able or you don't do something on one of these cards. If you don't do that before you trade or before a round is over, then the Warden card is going to be tilted 90 degrees like this. And if it ever goes all the way down, then what's going to happen is you have lost the game. And there's different ways that you can restart the game up. There's a quick restart, a slow restart, lots of different stuff, but that's all in the back of the rule booklet. But your typical turn is going to be like you yelling frantically at someone, I need this, and then you trading with someone else. So you'd say, all right, we trade this for that, so I just got this card, and then you look at that card and you have to read it. So sing a line of a song, someone must sing the next line of that song. So now before you can do anything else, you can't do anything else until you take this action, or else you'll be penalized by getting doomed. So I might say, Sweet Caroline, and I'm waiting for, ba ba ba. But if no one does it, then you're kind of screwed. So you might try and do it again. You say, can you take me? And then you're waiting for someone to say, hi. So it's incredibly. I'm trying to give you an emphasis. This is how you're going to be starting talking. You're going to get frantic. You're going to get frantic, and everybody's trying to be freaking out and looking for different cards. And some people are going to be lying, and some people are going to be buzzing, and different things are going to be going on. And you're like, I'm freaking out right now. So it does give you that tension in the game, but I'll talk more about that in the pros and the cons. So some different ways that you can modify the game are, the Warden cards are going to have different things on them that you might potentially have to do when they're revealed. So this Warden, the Doom count is given with names instead of numbers, so you're going to be reading off numbers. When revealed, all players discard 2 cards at random and then draw 2 cards. This one, when defeated, take this as one of the 5 cards that make up the new hand. Treat the card as another It's Coming card. So there's going to be 2 timers going on with this Warden. But there's also a card in this deck that makes you be a fake It's Coming. So there might even potentially be 3 timers going off. And you're like, which one's real, which one's not real? I don't know what's going on. It does a great job of proving to the theme of the game. So, that in a nutshell, and I hope I did it justice for how you play it, is how you're going to play Escape the Nightmare. Alrighty then, Escape the Nightmare from 3D Total Games, currently on Kickstarter right now. Be sure to post the Kickstarter link down below. What are my final thoughts? Let's go to the pros, let's go over the cons. First, on the cons side, the game's not going to be for everybody. Initially, the theme and the artwork are going to scare some people off, which is a shame because this would be a fantastic family game with a different theme. But the theme does come across which I'll talk more about in the pros, but that's going to scare off quite a bit of people. Also, the game forces you to do things you might not want to do. It might force you to lie or read off something or do something silly or sing or something like that. And some people are just not going to like that. Now, normally I do have somewhat of a problem with that, where it's like, what's that, Quelf, where it's like, do something silly. But this actually fits cosmetically into the game and the theme of escaping a nightmare, because a nightmare is trippy and it's crazy and it's out there. And so, yeah, take that con for a grain of salt. Also, the game is... what's the best way to put this? There's not too much strategy in this game. You're just doing things, and you're doing things, and it's fast, and it's frantic. But really, the only strategy you have is you're trying to get a set of 4. So the mechanics of the game are very simplistic. It's just trade, do the actions, do the restrictions, and if you don't do that, then you're going to be doomed, and then the Warden card comes out, and this is going to happen, and that's going to happen. And some people are not going to like the fact that the gameplay is, at face value, very, very simple. Next, I would not recommend this as a 3-player game. 4 players up, highly recommended. I'll talk more about that later, but as a 3-player game, I just didn't enjoy it nearly as much. It lost some of its luster. 4 is good, but 5+ is greater. And honestly, I liked it best when I played it at its full player count, because it is just sheer and utter insanity with people yelling and smashing cards down and grabbing things and doing all sorts of weird stuff. And just, that's a pro. That's a pro. So that's another con. If you play in a place where you need to be quiet, for instance, if you have a library gaming group or something like that, this is not one that I'm going to recommend. Any other cons I have with the game? Not that I can think of. Because moving on to the pros, Escape the Nightmare is highly recommended. This is one of the most interesting experiences in games I have ever played, and I love it for that. If this game came out this year, it would be one of my favorite games of the year. It might be my favorite game of the year. What do I like about this game? I'm just going to do a couple different things. First, it's very variable. All the cards are different. Every single card you encounter is going to do something different, and they interact differently. So each game is drastically different. And I mentioned this in the middle part. There's just tons of ways to make this game variable and more difficult and less difficult, and I like that a lot. Next, this is a great gateway game because it's incredibly simple. Can you read? Can you collect 4 cards? Then you can play this. And this is just... I just feel like if this gets the exposure it needs, people are going to love this game. This is a fantastic convention game. If you can get past the theme, this would be a fantastic family game to play at family get-togethers and stuff like that, because it just brings everybody together, because everyone is working together in this nightmare. And then, the nightmare, the theme comes across fantastic. While you're not scared, it is tense. It is super tense. Like, you're amped up. You're like, I need this card. Is it in the nightmare? No, is somebody just messing with me? Can somebody not trade for me? Can somebody not talk? Does somebody have to lie to me? And you're like, come on, you're pounding the tables. You're getting excited. You're getting frantic, and I love that. I freaking love that. And yes, the artwork is a little bit dark, but I like the artwork. I like the fact this is small and portable, compact. I believe this is like 60 cards, 55 cards, something like that. It's probably going to come in a tuck box of some sort. So this is a very compact, on-the-go type of game. I think the Kickstarter is like £10, which is like 15 American. So it's moderately priced, which is fantastic. It has unlimited potential for expansions, which is always something I love to see in a game like this, because I already want more cards. You know, I just got this game, and I want more cards. I want more cards that are going to make you do different things, that are going to give you different restrictions, and I like that an awful lot. Just wow. Escape the Nightmare is fantastic, and if you can come into this with an open mind, and if you like fast, if you like frantic, if you like cooperative, I highly recommend checking this one out. Escape the Nightmare. I'll be brutally honest, when I watched the Kickstarter video and when I read the rules, I was like, this sounds super dumb, but upon playing it, you know, it's just, you want to play it over and over and over again. It's just so much fun. So Escape the Nightmare, currently on Kickstarter, outstanding. Outstanding game, highly recommended. If any of it sounds like it might be intriguing to you, be sure to check out the Kickstarter link below. Tell them Bowers Game Corner sent you. If you enjoyed this review, please be sure to click on the subscribe button down below and in the comments below. Let me know, what was your last nightmare? Now, I don't dream too much, normally because I am out of bed and in the shower within like a minute and a half, so I don't get into the dream state too often. But the last nightmare I had was actually crawling through an air duct, kind of like John Connor in Yippee-Ki-Yay. Wow, I kept spacing on the movie. But then a giant rat came and ate through my chest. That's the last nightmare I had. But what was the last nightmare you had? As always, thanks for your time, YouTube.